Hello, everyone, and welcome. Now that you're here, we can talk about perhaps the most ruthless and greedy character in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the deadly Grade 1 sorcerer Mei Mei. She's always been a secondary character throughout the story and has only been the focus of a few scenes, but despite her small screen time, she's made a big impact, and during this discussion, I'd like to remind you of how terrifying she can truly be. Mei Mei is the perfect ideal sorcerer for the corrupt higher-ups, and it is evident Jujutsu society has been shaped to suit people like Mei Mei, who have lethal efficiency, are easily swayed by monetary rewards, and utterly lack any semblance of morality. Mei Mei only values the lives of others to the same degree that she can use said lives for her own personal gain. Mei Mei has no problem forcing innocent birds into suicide pact binding vows or sending her own brother into certain death. This mentality has allowed her to thrive in the Jujutsu world. We never see her struggle or fail at practically anything during the events of the series. In fact, even as early as her high school days, she was considered strong by Gojo himself, and it was framed as a grave abnormality when she took longer than expected to complete her mission with Utahime during Hidden Inventory. Mei Mei's innate curse technique is called Black Bird Manipulation, with a very self-explanatory name. She is able to utilize ravens and crows on a level similar to Suguru Geto's cursed spirit manipulation. In her early years, Mei Mei had interpreted the technique as below average, but was determined to excel in spite of her perceived innate weakness. And so she trained to become an excellent martial combatant, effortlessly wielding a massive ornate axe to maim special grades and mow down lower level curses with ease. Later on, Mei Mei would come to better understand the properties of binding vows and gain the ability to force her birds into contracts that would cost them their lives to release the limit on their power, essentially making her birds the Jujutsu Kaisen equivalent of Saitama if he was a suicide bomber. The comparison is almost accurate when you consider that according to Mei Mei, no one has ever survived her bird strike attack except for Satoru Gojo. Given the context of their relationship, it's unlikely that she was able to hit Gojo directly, and instead the statement is likely to be saying that he was able to survive the attack by using Limitless to avoid the damage altogether. Regardless of whether or not Gojo could survive the bird strike, this says more about Mei Mei. Her considering Gojo's avoidance of her technique to be surviving it means that every single person or curse that Mei Mei had ever targeted at that point wasn't able to block, evade, or tank her bird strike in any way, which begins to illustrate exactly how terrifying Mei Mei truly is. This supremely powerful combination of her technique and binding vows aren't the only threats in Mei Mei's arsenal. She has also been shown to sport some measure of tactical genius, as under the intense pressure of facing off against Kenjaku and his special grade smallpox deity, she was still able to correctly interpret and counter the curse's high concept, multi-step domain expansion mechanic. Her sharp mind and immensely powerful technique wouldn't have been enough to see her through this battle if it weren't for her peak physical stats. She was able to completely outmaneuver the special grade curse in its own domain and easily slice its arms off. This is consistent with her showing in the Night Parade, and also when she considers herself and Nanami to be superior to Kusakabe in firepower, despite Kusakabe being considered the strongest all-around grade 1 sorcerer. Mei Mei's final asset in the Jujutsu world is that her abilities allow her to become an unparalleled scout and surveillance operative. We see during the sister exchange and again during Gojo's battle against Sukuna that Mei Mei is able to broadcast the perception of her birds at a great distance to any number of spectators, with seemingly no strain on her stamina or cursed energy. This trait paired with her tactical brilliance and long-range curse technique can make Mei Mei an incredible threat against even the most powerful characters in the series. Due to her greedy nature, it's entirely in character for Mei Mei to harness these qualities to take on the most dangerous, morally questionable, and rewarding missions she can. And considering her relative old age in the world of Jujutsu, it's unquestionable that Mei Mei has dealt with hundreds or even thousands of powerful curses and cursed users for more than a decade at this point. In conclusion, Mei Mei is one of the most talented sorcerers in the verse. Despite the weakness of her technique, she was able to hone her body and become a great warrior, and later reinterpret her ability to elevate herself to the peaks of Jujutsu sorcery. And due to her fearsome resourcefulness and utter lack of a moral code, she's managed to become a legend who is practically impossible to survive an encounter with unless you're Gojo, Kenjaku, or Sukuna. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'd like to hear if you think Mei Mei will be a key player in the final battles of the series. If you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. But either way, I hope you you all stay safe and take it easy.